What's up there, YouTubers and fellow riders? The Kim is back at it again, cooking up another DIY for you on how to repair your Cush drive bushings. For those of you who don't do regular maintenance on your bike and are kind of new to this, the Cush drive bushings are located within the hub of the rear wheel tire. Now, I noticed this probably last week or so when when my chain had snapped on me on the freeway and I had to do a full-on chain replacement. And I went ahead and was inspecting everything, and I noticed that I had a slight wiggle in my rear sprocket. Let me see if I can show you this without shaking the camera. But the rear sprocket has a slight wiggle in it, and you might experience this. You also might even hear when your Cush bushings are bad, besides the slight wiggle in the sprocket, you're also going to hear maybe if they're completely disintegrated and worn away, kind of like a slap within this rear tire. And what's happening inside there is you got five bushings inside here that generally take the impact of when you engage the drivetrain and or you're shifting gears. Those bushings inside there take the impact of that chain spinning that sprocket around and then suddenly making the grab to the rear wheel tire. Now, like I said, I wasn't aware that this was an issue until just last week. And let me go ahead and show you what the Cush bushings look like. Inside the book we have a couple of names for them. They call them in the book the service manual, the wheel dampener, and this is what they look like inside here, inside the rear hub. So basically what you're going to do is pretty much remove the rear wheel tire and pull up on the sprocket, and this whole piece, the sprocket and the housing, should all come out in one, and the bushings sit with inside there. And like I said, there's 5 of them. If we take a look at this is the back side of the sprocket area. So I went ahead and purchased some new bushing replacements, and if you're experiencing this issue, this is the part number that you need. Okay, and this is pretty much what they look like. So over time these things tend to wear. They're they're pretty much a hard rubber, but they do wear on the inside from constant usage. This is the first time I'm having to change this since the bike has been first purchased, so they tend to last a long time. But nonetheless, parts do go out, rubber does wear out. So I'm gonna go ahead and perform this replacement here, and I'm gonna let you guys see it. So here we go. Let me push pause, get the camera set up while I go ahead and try to remove all these parts to get this rear wheel off. So give me 1 second while I set that up for you. Oh, alright, so I'm back over here. I'm just going to go ahead and, you don't necessarily have to remove these parts, but I'm just going to go ahead and remove them because it makes things a whole lot easier when you remove everything that needs to be out of your way. So let's go ahead and do this. Just so I can get to the chain a little more easier. Go ahead and remove your cotter pin. Gonna go ahead and remove using the 10 and 12 millimeter to loosen up your tensioner. We're also going to move to the other side. And do the same from over here. Righties, got that loose. Alright, slide this back over here. We're gonna go ahead and remove this entirely. Move the chain. Not the oh. You're going to want to make sure that your tensioner bolts are pretty much all the way closed so that you can slide the wheel forward enough to get the chain off. I'm just going to hang the chain right there. Once that's off, all right, so we're going to go ahead and remove the rear spindle. And the tire is off. Okay, so I went ahead and removed the rear tire, and this is kind of like the wobble that I was telling you about. There shouldn't be any play in here at all. Should be a nice snug fit. So let's go ahead and remove this, and this barely even held on here. There we go. There are your Cush drive Cush, however you want to say it, bushings that need to be replaced. Here's the back side of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and push pause. I'm gonna do a little cleaning in here and save you guys the time and energy of having to watch me clean out this rim. So I want to make sure I clean off all the gunk and grease around it. So I'm gonna go ahead and push pause while I do that, and then I'll show you how to remove and replace Cush bushing. The YouTubers and lowriders back here again. Went ahead and cleaned up the whole the rim and the hub. It's full of grease and whatnot. I can see a lot of scratches in here from when my chain broke, and just glad that nothing happened to me when that happened. So getting back to this, go ahead and look at this. There's a lot of play in this thing, and like I said, when you engage that drivetrain, you know, it's the Cush bushings help with that torque that's put on the rim all of a sudden, but you're not supposed to have any play like this whatsoever. This is extremely loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this, and it's just that easy now because these things are all warm. But looking inside here, I'll go ahead and see if I can pull one out with my hand. Maybe, maybe not. Not. Let me get pry bar. Let's see if I can remove one. Okay, there we go. Number 7's on top. You're just going to take your new one and replace it back into the hole. Alright, move on to the next. Crap. Something broke off in there. Give me 1 sec. Okay. So removing this one, I broke off the little rubber tip in the hole, and all you guys simply do is just go ahead and push it down inside. So there's this one. We're gonna take the new one, number 7 on top. There's really only one way you can put these on, so make sure it's down all the way in the hole. Okay. Move on to the third one. Broke the tip off. Push it down the hole. Go. This one looks like it could still go down. There we go. It's in there. Spin that room around. A little lube. And in you go. That's it. While you're in here, you make sure you want to inspect your bearing. Make sure it runs nice and smooth. Maybe add a little more lubricant in there. Everything seems to be good on that one. We'll inspect this one. Seems to be moving fine. All right, time to get this bad boy in there. Oh, this is the hard part. Trying to get it back in there. Now you see the big difference between the old worn out bushings and the new ones. I can't even get this in here, so I'm gonna have to do a little tapping down with maybe a rubber mallet if I could find one, and try to get this guy back in here. We still got a ways to go. Man, that's solid. All right, so I'm gonna push pause and try to get this guy back in here. See if I can find myself a mallet. You guys won't see this, but that's how you get it in. Give me 1 second while I find myself a rubber mallet. Man, that is tight. Wow. What a difference rubber makes. Shit. All right. So there she is. All nice and tight. Bearing's good. Still feel a little gap in here. I think I'm going to want to push it down a little bit further. Yep, that was it. All right, there she is. All nice and tight. All right. So we could tell that these ones are already, they were totally worn. They weren't disintegrated. Sometimes these things disintegrate all the way through to where this thing is just totally just rocking back and forth, causing a slap. Kind of to diagnose this issue, when you hear it, it's gonna sound like you're gonna give it gas. It's gonna, and you're gonna hear this clap real quick, and it kind of sounds like you're chained. But more times than others, it's probably gonna be the Cush bushing, the Cush drive in here. It's gone, worn out. So I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the bike. I'm gonna push pause real quick and get this on there. Don't forget to lube up. Make sure you lube up everything while you're in here as well. All right. So push pause. Move over to the bike. All right, the YouTubers, I'm back at the bike right here. And if you've ever had to try and do this by yourself, it is a bitch. Okay. Some people are able to do it where they're able to slide the shaft in here, holding up the caliper, and then sliding the wheel and getting the brake rotor caught in between those two things. You know, you can do it either way. You can do it with it mounted on here, just like that, and try to slide the tire into there and still hold it up while getting the chain on. You know, I've heard other guys doing that, you know, this way, which I'm about to do, and it's relatively simpler for me, I'd say, and it's up to you, it's your preference. But I went ahead and loosened these bolts to drop the caliper off, and this way I don't have to try and guide that got that in there. It is one extra step, but trust me when I tell you that it makes getting the wheel on there that much easier. And you know, to each his own. You can do it however you like it. This is just the way I'm choosing to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that right now and slide that out the way. I really hate to let these things hang, but I just might have to. See if I can prop it up there. Alright. So, that is out the way. And let's go ahead and get this tire on here. So this is going to come in here like this. You got a little metal housing right here that slides into this guide. It pretty much sits right there. Okay. You're going to take your rod and put it like that to hold it there in place. Also, one thing I forgot to mention before you actually put your tires on, it's always a good idea to inspect you know, the rubbers within here, the dust seal within the wheel. Make sure it's not all corroded and rotten. I told you check your bearings, your collars, make sure they're all nice and lubed up. And I just typically just put some lube inside here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and get this on here right now by myself, which normally I don't do because it's a bitch. And I'm gonna have to see if I can get this lined up without knocking over my brake rotor. Alright, make sure my collar is in place on that one. My collar in on this one. Yeah. I think it might be just easier if I just zip tie this damn chain out the way. Might just have to do that because it's going to be a pain in the ass. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Give me 1 second while I get a zip tie. Okay, so I got the chain zip tied up right here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can lift up this wheel and slide in the spindle. Yep. Trust me, there is an easier way to do this, and it's called another person. So, I'm just going to sit this on my knee. Shit. Alright, back out you go. When that collar fell out, it fucked me up. Alright, collar's in there. I got grease all over my hands. having difficulty getting this guy. We are in. Sweet. Now let's go ahead and cut that zip tie off, get the chain on there. And there we go. She's back on. Go ahead and put it. Make sure this is on this side of the bike. Right there. Go ahead and put on a screw. Put a nut. And tighten her back up. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you went ahead and removed your caliper like I did to help ease the process somewhat, don't forget to put that on. Don't forget to put that on, tighten it up. And before I actually do that, I wanted to kind of open it up a little bit so I could, technically it would slide over, but go ahead and just try and push back that piston a little bit so that it's not so hard to get on. But at any rate, guys, I'm going to go ahead and button her up. I hope this helped you out. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit the dislike button. Be sure to leave me some comments down below and let me know what it is you didn't like about this tutorial. As always, see you next problem.